Welcome to I Love This Thing So Fricking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Narkie, the president of RTP Rotary from 2022 to 2023 and founder of the Wakaboomee program. Welcome to the show, Narkie.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on this show.
I'm glad to have you. So here's how this works. Narkie will have 3 minutes to talk about something that she loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything she wants. Our only requirement is that she loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Narkie?
Yes, I am.
Good. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
I really love so freaking much the Wakaboomee program, a 501c3. And the reason why I love it so much is because it provides STEAM, wellness, and entrepreneurship education to K through 12 students. And that kind of like allows all of the volunteers and altruistic people in this world to join together to help us focus on STEAM, wellness, and entrepreneurship for our communities to thrive. And over the last few years, I have watched this huge thing become a huge reality of altruism and kindness and generosity and education. It amazes me how people can join together from all walks of life, just centered on robotics or mental health issues or art. So many things that we naturally are inquisitive about and just want to explore. And sometimes we think, it's not for us. Maybe I've never tried Taekwondo, but someone else has, and you just take a stab at trying something new. It incites this whole, I don't know how to explain it, but just this whole beautiful connection. And I just feel very honored to be a part of this 501c3 that seems to be like a movement. I do feel like I'm talking way too much, but the timer has not gone off. So I also freaking love my daughter. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's so cool. And even though she's a teenager and they always say, oh man, teenagers are so difficult, it is not true. It makes you get closer to a human as you watch them evolve and age. And she helps me so much with my passion with the Wakaboomee program. So I love just having a cool life that's sustainable around great education and learning and evolving and being around genuine, authentic people. I just really love the life that we get to live. And I want to figure out ways to make it meaningful and sustainable for all humans, because all people deserve to thrive and have rewarding lives. And there's ways that we can do that, centering it on education that makes people do better and help people sustain their passions. I definitely feel like this has been the longest run-on sentence of my life. I've never really been given this opportunity to talk this long. It does feel nice.
That's wonderful. Thank you for telling us about the Wakaboomee program today.
Thank you so much for this. This was really cool. Cool experience.
Let's tone a little more about how this all started. Like, how did your interest in STEAM and wellness education begin, and how did that turn into creating this program?
Okay, well, I was going through like a really miserable time in life. I guess I needed a distraction. So I wrote a children's book because that was like my passion when I was a kid. The book was about a green creature named Wakaboomee. Came out of my head. Like it was just, I dreamed him up. I read the book to my daughter, who at the time was around 5 years old. And so at that time, 5-year-olds are like, you're the best thing since sliced bread when they're that age.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, oh, I love this book. This is the best book. But I wanted to find out from other people, like other kids her age, if it was genuinely engaging. So I decided to not go to her school. I had been volunteering at her elementary school, but I wanted to go in a different part of town. So I went to a Title I school. As soon as I walked in the doors, those kids were like, what kind of shoes are those? I mean, it was like rough, just they didn't seem like kids. They felt like little hustlers or something. But anyway, I read the book and I saw very quickly that they were engaged just as much as my daughter had been engaged. And the principal at the time was like, wow, normally these kids are jumping all over the tables and no one holds their attention like this. You got to come back and keep reading that book. Because even the kids were like, read the book again, read the book again. But I recognized I was not supposed to be reading a book to this group of kids. They were very intelligent and very street savvy, and they would have really thrived from so much more than what I was bringing. So I decided to pair up with different organizations in my area as far as coders and scientists and different ones in STEAM. And ultimately, we put something together and started bringing incredible after-school curriculum to the same school and other ones in the area. And thus, the Wakaboomee program was born.
It sounds like you really discovered something absolutely vital there, that these were children who were hungry to learn and hungry to be engaged, and maybe they weren't being challenged in the right way quite yet. And you fed them, you gave them something to work on, something to learn from.
Yeah, well, it wasn't me. It was a whole bunch of people. It was different people in coding, artists. I know so many incredible people. I've lived in the same area my whole adult life. Actually, since I was a kid, I've lived in the same area. And so I knew a lot of incredible people in education. And when you bring people together who have a common goal of wanting to help our world and help other people thrive, there's really no limit. So it really wasn't me. It was just saying, hey, let's get together for pizza and talk about how we can make this thing work.
Talk a little more about that because someone might be listening to this and thinking, oh, yeah, it makes sense. We need different kinds of people who have different expertises to bring something like this to life. But how do you find those people and how do you bring them together?
You get involved. Like I'm a part of a lot of different boards, like Rotary for one. That was something I did years ago as far as being the president. That was a group of people that I had never really thought to be involved with, but they were very active in the community and they had a lot of self-sacrificing traits that I liked. And so just trying something new. I'd never gone to a Rotary Club in my life, but I've realized that these were very altruistic people that wanted to make impacts in the community. And so I worked with them and they told me, you should become a 501c3. They gave a donation so that I would be able to make that happen. Just supportive. And then I moved on to other organizations. The food bank showed me how you can get so involved in your community and take big groups of kids and experience what it's like to have an impact on stopping hunger. Things like that I never tried before, but getting groups together made it so that we had consistent things that we could do every 3 months or annually. And it becomes meaningful and special in their memories. It just makes people feel like they're a part of something.
You've mentioned your daughter a few times now, not only as a part of the origin story of the Wakaboomee program, but as a part of helping you run it. Can you tell me a little more about how she's involved?
Yes, since the very beginning, Sage has been the marketer. She was the one who was my note taker. She had a little notepad when she was 8 years old, and we would sit on Zoom calls, and she would be the one who had the bullet points. And I'd be like, Sage, what was I supposed to say here? And she always remembered everything. She's really smart that way. We have a huge thing with mindfulness. We really have always put a big emphasis on mental health. And so she's actually a number one leader with mindfulness. She's worked very closely with Dr. Janelle Ellis Holloway, who is a therapist that works with the kids on a virtual hybrid kind of sessions on Wednesdays. We've been doing that since 2016. And Sage was the one right there talking about her own frustrations, encouraging other kids to feel safe enough to be able to talk about their anxieties and frustrations, and then learning techniques of ways to stay positive through the tribulations of childhood. So she's seen it all. She was there and she's helped me. It's just been such a journey. So I'm really appreciative of having a daughter.
Yeah, it's really wonderful that this has been a family journey together.
I hope one day that people can see how Wakaboomee can help the whole family. It's helped me as a woman. It's helped my child. I hope it will one day help men, fathers, mothers be better mothers. It could really help the whole community. We're just working on ways to build curriculum every day that really does help the community thrive.
Is there anything that you don't like about the Wakaboomee program, or maybe that you find challenging about it? And if so, how do you handle that?
I have a hard time with figuring out how to raise funds to make everything last and being a sustainable organization. I have a 9 to 5. I work for an architect firm, but Wakaboomee is something that has always been in my heart. It's always been a passion. It's something that I do work on every day in some way or form, but it is not easy to sustain. I can't afford to be able to put t-shirts in big after school programs right now. I can't afford to give kids the things that I would love to be able to give kids. There's a lot of things that Wakaboomee as a whole has a vision of being able to provide for the community, but we are self-funded. A lot of the donations come from me, but that's because I know that it's needed and I never would let it die. Thankfully, we have organizations and companies that have stepped up annually that surprise us every year and support us on certain initiatives. And so I cling to those. I'm appreciative of those. I don't ever want to seem ungrateful, but there's so much more that needs to be done because I know it can put a dent on a lot of the things that we as the human deal with. But if you don't have the funds to make it become a reality, reality, it does become frustrating, but I try to keep my head up. I know it's going to happen. It just takes time.
Yeah, it takes time and it takes having a good team and a good community. It sounds like you've been gathering that around you.
Absolutely. I have a board that you would love. They are so amazing. I have a board of 9, and the first Wednesday of the month, we have a meeting virtually from 7 to 8. And it's just so wonderful to have real friends who are vested and want to see an organization help communities. I thought I would be alone in my dream because it's like this green creature. It's like this weird thing, but they get that it's more than this green thing. It's about bringing people together and centering it around education.
Narkie, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Thank you so much. I hope I really wasn't too much.
You are absolutely wonderful. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about the Wakaboomee program or our guest Narkie, you can find her social media information in the episode description. And if you have something you love so freaking much you want to tell me all about it, consider this your invitation to join the show. I Love This Thing So Freaking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed and edited by Sophie A. Katz. You can find us at Through the Window on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Tumblr. That is THROU the Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.